It should be noted that I am slightly tired because it is, what is it? 9:01 in the morning. Okay, not too late, but I woke up like an hour ago, so I am slightly sleepy. But anyway, we're still doing this. Today it is February. Well, it's March actually. The 3rd of March. 3rd of March. The third day of the third month. Look at that. Anyway, but we're doing the February 2024 favorites. Because this is a monthly tradition now, or at least, how many times do we have to do it for it to become a tradition? Anyway, I'm rambling. We're doing our tier list as usual. It should be noted. Well, we'll get to it, I guess, when we do more of this. Oh, didn't like hearing my voice that much. This is good, a good suppression. Speaking of noise suppression, I do have that on my little microphone today, because my fan is on. It's not blowing on me, but it's blowing around the room. Fun fact, I have my fan on maybe actually every single day, like throughout the year. I used to only have it during the summer because it get very hot in many ways. No, but well, yes, actually, but it used to only fan during the summer, but we found out that I like the white noise that it brings, because if it's completely quiet during the night, I tend to imagine noises like, oh, I heard a creak. Is that someone robbing my house? And then we checked, how much electricity does it actually drain if we just have it on every single night. And it doesn't drain that much at all, so that's why we have it. Anyway, this is the 2024 favorites tier list maker. This is available for public use. I don't know why you would want to use a tier list for the specific shows that I watched this month, but it's there if you want to, I guess. Let's just dive right in, and we'll tackle the exceptions when I get there, basically. And look at that, fun thing first. Bang Green Film Live. I haven't watched this one yet, so that's the first exception. Why haven't I watched this yet? Because I finished the second season of Bang Green. I didn't plan out how I would watch the media this month too well. I just kind of winged it, and I thought, well, I'll take an episode there and there, which meant that I had to crunch a lot of shows in by the last few days. Bang Green just made it yesterday, so I haven't watched Film Live yet. I'll watch it later today, but maybe I'll talk about it next month then. But from what I know, it's basically a concert movie. I don't know if there's any story beyond it, or if it's just like the basic premise of a concert and then they do their songs. Since it's CG, I imagine they can. It's easier for, Love Live, for example, or Idolmaster, if they wanted to do a concert movie. It would take an extraordinary amount of work and time to actually draw everything. But now that they are CG, they can probably. Oh, I'm sorry. I ate a big bowl of berries just before this. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but I imagine it would be easier to do it if it's just CG, because I have the models. It's not too much to animate, so you can probably do more of that. I imagine it's just a concept movie, but I don't know. But we can move on to the next one, because that one I have seen, Ninja Kamui. Ninja Kamui. This is directed by Sung-Hoo Park, which, if you didn't know, is the director of the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, and also the director of The God of High School, which I think everyone has completely forgotten after that. We can open it a bit, but yeah, there it is, Ninja Kamui. It is basically the American male wet dream. It's about this blonde guy who's a dad. He has this lovely, hot, traditional wife. And they have a lovely little son together. They live out in the country, on a farm kind of thing. Maybe not farm because they don't have animals, but it's out of the country. And he's like this retired assassin, I think, but I frame it as like a veteran kind of. And then suddenly, his wife and child are killed. Brutally, he tried to stop it by being badass and like fighting ninjas or something, but he didn't make it, and they died. So the rest of the series is him basically hunting these people down for revenge. So that feels like the American male wet dream. He has the kid, he has the lovely, traditional, conservative, rural, domestic life, and then the rest of the series is about revenge. It's very reminiscent, well, very, but I suppose it's reminiscent because anime, but there was the Isekai show a few months ago, I think, where this guy was traveling with a sorcerer or witch or something, and then she was captured by the state and they stripped her in front of like a public, and then killed her right then and there. And then the rest of the series is this guy basically trying to hunt these statemen down to get revenge. A lot of these appeal to the kind of patriarchal, maybe not patriarchal, well, anything's patriarchal really. But it appeals to this kind of male, very traditional sense of, oh, I want to get revenge, they hurt my kid and my wife. It's basically, it's a show defending the conservative domestic life. Not that having a wife and child is inherently bad, but, when the entire series is predicated on, revenge, nothing preventative, nothing nuanced or stuff like that, then, it's whatever. It looks good. Obviously, because Sung-Hoo Park is a very talented action director, but this has nothing on me. I wanted to look that up actually because I thought, yeah, that's my profile, by the way. Ninja Kamui, look at that, 8.5. That's a score. 8.5. That's insane. I think people just rate it highly because action scenes look good. I mean, that's basically why Jujutsu Kaisen is so high up. So, Anyway, next one. Isekai Onsen Paradise. It's going on Paradise. Show about a guy and some girls who bathe in an onsen, a hot spring. It's a mini-series, it's like 5 minutes. It looks like crap. I started it because I thought this girl here, the cat girl, she was cute. Or the fox girl, maybe. There is some nudity. There is some uncensored nipples and stuff. But, for the most, it's whatever, really. I only follow it still because it's like 5 minutes long. But, yeah, I think nudity has decreased too. I don't care for these other girls at all. Though I guess she hasn't appeared yet. But I like her. At least he's not a pervert. He seems doesn't care about the nudity at all. But yeah, no, it's whatever. It really should be an F actually, but oh god no. But we put it at D because that's the lowest I have. One Piece, right? It should be noted I've read one volume of One Piece this month. There were a couple of series that I just didn't plan very well throughout the month, so I just haven't gotten to it much. One Piece is one of those. I talked about, let's find it on Twitter. Let's find it. Dressrosa. And I'll read it out for you because I thought, my tweets. Here, I'll read this out, and I'll say, I really like Dressrosa, but I'm not as huge on it like a lot of other arcs in the series. It strikes me in a very similar way that Alabasta did, which I also really like, but a bit less than most of the big arcs pre-time skip. Maybe it's a hot take, but with the exception of Long Ring, Long Land, and Amazon Lily, I like every single pre-time skip arc following Alabasta more than I like Alabasta. But I also really like Alabasta still, so they're all great. Even in the diverse setup and plot conceits, Dressrosa and Alabasta are very similar. Like Dressrosa feels like post-time skips Alabasta arc, if that makes sense. Maybe it's mostly a vibe thing, but I don't know if maybe this is a common similarity to make in the fandom, and then found out it is a common similarity. But I'm discovering this for the first time. But we're talking the differences between mountains, of course, so I obviously adore Dressrosa, but I think maybe I'm a bit more into the fantastical, raw humanism more present in arcs like Scapia and Water 7 than complicated settings and conspiracies. Obviously, Dressrosa has more humanism at its core too, which is incredibly powerful. Again, Valyria is comparing One Piece against itself. It is in its own league here. It'll be interesting to see if maybe the pattern follows, and I vibe even more with the following arcs. Horkic Island seems more like my vibe from the name alone, and Wano I think I adore. So that's basically, oh, sorry. But that's basically where I'm at with Dressrosa. I like Dressrosa, but it tends to focus a bit less on the stuff that One Piece is the best at. I think, again, if I say when One Piece has complicated settings, it can lose the raw humanism at its story a bit, that's not true, because the raw humanism in those arcs are incredibly present as well. Like, again, when I criticize One Piece, you have to understand that I criticize One Piece. I not even criticize. I just say I like this a bit less than I love everything else. It's just, it's comparing against this stuff. One Piece would always be great. It would always be fantastic. It would always be doing wonderful things. I mean, if we do these tier lists, I mean, for every month, like, that I've read One Piece, it would always be in S. Maybe, like, except the first month or something, but I haven't yet. You know, when we're still not on the Grand Line even. But when I properly got into the series around Scapi, I think was the arc when I fell in love with the series, which should highlight how I prefer Scapia to Alabasta. But, you know, ever since then, it would be in S every single month. So, yeah, but yeah, I tend to feel it's a bit too much plot, I guess, a bit too much, and I felt that was the case with Alabasta as well. It was a lot of complicated plot, and I think it allows the series to focus more on a lot of mini fights instead of something where Scapia, for example, focused a bit more on. Again, if I say Scapia focused a bit more on the island or the backstories, then that's not true either, because fucking Dressrosa has a lot of powerful backstories, and it's great, it's wonderful. I like it slightly less than when the series is at its best for me. That's all. Or put it in S. I have read one volume. I think that counts. Next month I will finish all of Dressrosa, and the next like mini arc something. So is that what it's called? Anyway, Sengoku Yoku. That's the other show. I think I'm one episode behind. It is a Isekai anime. We talked about this last month, of course, so if you watch that, I won't rehash it too much. Oh, excuse me, has something in my eye. Again, I haven't showered or anything. Jeez. Anyway. Sengoku Yoku. Yeah, it's a Isekai anime. It's the first anime adaptation we got on that doesn't look like dog shit. I say as someone who hasn't watched the early adaptations of this manga either, but it's good. It's good. It's one of those not too much that I can say about it yet, because it's still laying out the groundwork, you know. We're still in the beginning phases. But I think it's solid. I think that's like a below 7 score on Mal. I don't know how that site works. But it's good. It's good. It looks surprisingly good, actually. Not just decent. I think it looks. It's going to air for 39 episodes or 37 episodes. And there's pretty Sakuga here and there, so it looks good. I would put it at C. That's where I put it. Nothing special has happened, but I like everything that I've seen so far. But I really still is in the beginning. It's just delicious in dungeon. We would not call it that. We would call it Dungeon Meshi. Dungeon Meshi. It's good. I had a bit of a difficult time getting into it. Well, not difficult, I guess, but I'm not as head over heels in love with it or anything. But it's taking its time, I think. I think I'm like 2 episodes behind, maybe 3. The last one I watched was an episode where they were really hungry and they got into a cave and they saw these kind of painting monsters, which is basically just paintings, but then they can grab you and pull you into the painting and the world inside the painting, I guess to capture the victims or something. I don't know what the deal was, but that's what it is. And then they saw paintings with food in them, and they thought, oh, okay. Well, he thought, Laos, I think that's his name. He thought, okay, well, you know, maybe I can just get into the painting, get the food, and then, you know, have something to eat. It took like half an episode to get anywhere because he kept getting distracted by the stuff in the paintings. He was at like royal events and stuff. And then he found out that while he was eating in the painting, when he got out, it was like gone from his stomach. So then he thought, okay, well, I'll bring food out then. And then he did that, but of course the food disappeared when he got out, because obviously the food of the painting only works when you're in the painting. a lot of cool stuff like that. I won't spoil more than that, of course, but the B part, the B storyline of that episode was also very fun when he had to fight the mimic. It was a really fun episode, so I think if the show continues more like that, I would like it a lot. But we'll put it at B right now. Basically, fun and getting more charming by every episode. What do we have next? Ranking of Kings, the Treasure Chest of Courage. Right. So this is the Ranking of Kings quasi-sequel, semi-sequel. It's a bunch of, not mini-stories, but episodic. They're all 24 minutes, but episodic stories, and they're interspersed throughout the Ranking of Kings timeline. So some take place before the main story, some take place between story events, and then a few take place after the original series ended. There will be a season 2 or movie or something because the manga is still ongoing, but so that's basically what it is. I liked it quite a bit, actually. I think the sequel, or the mini, whatever, it has the same heart and spirit that made the original show work so well when it did, which I will say was most of the time. Some people were really mad at the conclusion of the original series. I don't agree. I think it was clumsy, but I'm left feeling very fond of the series overall. I mean, we'll tackle that when we get to the original series, I guess, here, but anyway, this taps into a lot of the same good energy that the original show had. It's kind of a mixture of city stories and series stories. The city stories are more cute little stories, which I think were fun. Some got me emotional and a bit really furry inside. So those were great. And then there were more series stories, which I thought were very good additions to canon. I have very little complaints, honestly. I mean, obviously, when it does some stuff poorly, it's just the same elements that the original show did poorly, like Miranjo, or was a weird scene with Kage, which I always thought was a bit weird, with his mother being like, we're a clan of assassins, we kill children and the elderly and women. And then her very next line is, people hate us for some reason, I really don't know why. It's like, I don't think it's again, that's the original series, we're tackling it when we get there. But when did I like this? I'd put it at C. I did quite like it, but a lot of it is also non-essential. But good, charming, fun. But wouldn't put it on that level. The next one, Detective Conan, The Phantom of Baker Street. The Phantom of Baker Street. This one is the best Detective Conan movie. I did think it started out a bit slow, actually. I watched this one with my dad. He liked it. He said he had a difficult time getting into it because it was animated. But then we realized it's not because it was animated, it's because it's a kid's movie. And he loves Apothecary Diaries. So, but anyway, Phantom of Baker Street. I talked about this one on Twitter as well, and I think I said that The Phantom of Baker Street is a Detective Conan movie or storyline that would never happen in the original series, and I compared it to the One Piece Baron Namatsuri movie, because both tap into the heart and spirit of the original show, so it feels like the show, but they do things that the original shows or manga would never do. For Baron Namatsuri, for example, it's much darker, and it likes to tackle the thematic cornerstones of the manga and kind of twist them against Luffy in a very interesting way. But I don't think, and it has some very cosmic horror, like, maybe not cosmic, but very big horror like scenes, which I don't think One Piece would ever really tap into as a series in itself. If you think Berserk Eclipse, but without all the rape, it was that kind of big, scary, hell-like things, which One Piece would never do, but it works very well in the Banamatsu movie. And then the Phantom of Baker Street for Detective Conan is a similar kind of thing. There's no, the police aren't heavily involved. There's no sleeping Kongoro. There's no, a lot of these typical things that happen in every Conan mystery, or the Conan does, because it's just the structure of the series. Doesn't happen here because they get trapped in a virtual reality. Something, that doesn't happen anywhere else in the series, as far as I'm concerned. I haven't caught up to the manga or anything. Maybe it gets sillier as we go along, but so basically, and then there's this so-called virtual reality, and there's the topic of AI, because they literally interact with an AI that has trapped them, and they have to like figure out who Jack the Ripper is in this virtualized world of the era where Jack the Ripper and Sherlock Holmes lived. It's very good. It feels like Detective Conan because it captures into the same spirit. It has a surprisingly deep point to it. Like, you feel like, oh, this is a kid's movie, but they try to imbue it with some sense of meaning. You know, there's a purpose to it. There's some deeper message there. Very good movie. Very good movie. Definitely the best Detective Conan movie, even if maybe some others are a bit more immediately exciting. We'd put it at B. Very good. Yona After Dawn. It's okay. It's fine. It's good, even, I'd say. Solid. Perfectly decent. I had slightly higher expectations, to be honest. I thought the first episode was fine, okay, but very amateurish in its writing. It feels like an author's first work. You know, I compared it to, it felt like something a teenager would write, with like characterization and dialogue and stuff. It got better as we went along, not necessarily because I think the actual quality of writing increased, but I think it just focused on stuff that made its amateurishness seem less apparent, basically. But I thought it was good. I think it helps when these boys are introduced, bring a bit more flavor and fun to the cast. But yeah, it's standard. It's whatever. It's a normal, standard kind of story. I got nothing special or outstanding from it. So yeah, I suppose it's fine. I was thinking, like, there's a scene where they have to leave a town that they were in for a short while, and then the town is it's a very short scene, but then everyone cries when they leave, and it's stuff like that where it feels like this feels like a basic attempt at trying to get emotion out of, I don't know. I was hoping for a bit more, but it's possible, you know. I've heard the manga is much better, but where would we put it? C. That's where we would put it. C. What's the next one? Bravern. I don't know. This is a seasonal. I watched like one episode, so that's why it's here. It was okay. A mecha show. I'm not really into mecha. Looks fine otherwise. I have nothing to say about this one, really. I don't want to waste time on something I barely finished an episode of. But it's okay. It's surprisingly popular. Maybe not surprisingly, but it's very popular in Japan. Well, not very, but much more popular than it is here. I put it at D. Nothing against it. I just wasn't really interested. Bucchigiri. The novelty has worn off on this one. It's still fun, but it's much more just plot now. Not much more, maybe, but it's a bit more just plot now, and I don't find the plot that interesting. Still fun. Still, charming. The humor is still there, you know, the spirit of the series is all intact, but I guess now that I'm used to the spirit of the series, it's just kind of, I'm not left with as much, but I still have fun. These seasonals, I mean, I talked about them last month, and there'll be a bit more to talk about when they've actually ended, so this is a bit of an awkward middle, where I don't have much new to say about them. I think I'm behind on like one episode or something, but I like it. I do like it. What do we have next? This time for Torture Princess. This one is very fun. It's very cute. Again, it's about this princess who is captured by the Demon King, and she's tortured by his servants. But it's all like very nice torture. It's basically, you know, oh, let me eat this in front of you. You only have to watch, and you know, oh, here's a cute little cat, but you can't color it. Look at me color it, you know, stuff like that. And she basically becomes friends with them because the servants who carry out the torture kind of want to get it over as quickly as possible, so the princess just fesses up some random information, and then, oh, the torture's over. Yeah, it's over for today. Okay, then we could go have fun in like the park or something. So they're all friends. She visits them when one of them was sick. It's very fun. I think it's still interesting too. It would be. There were several points when I thought, oh, okay, maybe it would grow stale or repetitive. But it's pretty fun still. So, I mean, we'll put it at C. If I'm honest, I think I like it a bit more in between. But, it's C. Frieren. I'm behind like five episodes. I'm sorry. Again, some series maybe Frieren. I just haven't really. I've been poor at keeping up with. Frieren is also one of those shows I want to get into the mood of watching. But I mean, I'll catch up before it ends this month. So anyway, we're still in the exam arc. I think the last episode I watched was with like the roasted egg to capture the bird. I've said this before, and by before I mean the last video. I think Frieren has a tendency to sometimes. I respect it for having different arcs. I respect it for having a demon fighting arc and now a hunter exam arc, but magic is also a rare arc, whatever, mage arc, mage exam arc, there we go. But I tend to, it's not what the series is at its best at. The series is at its best when it's kind of a pure Iyashike, when it's just slice of life, it's this meditative, melancholic slice of life where they just travel and they meet people. That's what it's the best at. Now, I think it's always fun. It's always charming. It's always good at what it does. Besides a small thing with the demons in the demon story arc. But even then, besides that, the demon story arc is good. And I think this exam arc is good too. It just kind of feels like the series isn't always focusing on what it does best. But I don't know how good this series would be if it was just pure slice of life. Like, would it get repetitive? And it's good to like switch things up a bit. But then again, I mean, there are many shows that are just slice of life, so I think that's an excuse. But we'll see. Basically, we will see. But I mean, I like it. I think everything it does is good. So no real complaints. I just think it could be even more special if it only focused on what it does the best. Which I think something like Apothecary Diaries, for example, is a show that just gets better and better because it sticks to basically exactly what it's the best at. Frieren is very good as well, of course, all the time, but it is a show that kind of, does stuff, that is the best at, and some stuff that just to freshen things up, to have something new, but which it isn't inherently lined up with, but, not a big deal. Case closed. That's the English name for Detective Conan. Detective Conan Countdown to Heaven. Very good as well. Maybe not as consistently engaging as some of the other movies, but a very cool climax to make up for that. Very good. It's a classic Detective Conan adventure. I have not much to say about it, but it's very good. I'll probably put it at C because it's not up there with the best movies I've seen. Let's wait with that one actually. This is a sort of mini series with the Bang Beam Girls, but the chibi versions, and it's just basically comedy sketches. I haven't seen this one. I saw the show, this mini series for the first season. Again, I just finished this one last night. But I remember thinking the first season, a mini series, was surprisingly funny, like really funny. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one later today. Solo leveling. I think this one has fallen down for me too. I thought it was fun at first because it was kind of... how should I explain this? I actually know how to explain it perfectly, but it took its time with this dude. It was introducing its systems with this kind of greater system that gives him challenges and the rewards if he completes them and punishments if he doesn't. And I thought it was an interesting way of leveling him up, having go through these interesting situations and getting specific interesting rewards. But at this point, he's really strong and is basically just fighting random monsters, whatever the prop presents him. It's fun, still looks good, but this is like Bucchigiri, but even more so, the novelty is just worn off for me. So it's fine, but it's nothing better than that. But I guess we put it at C. I still have fun. What else? Katanagatari. I've seen 2 episodes maybe. It's okay. Maybe the series just hasn't gotten enough time to flex more, I guess. I don't really have much to say about this. I haven't seen much. But I like what I've seen. I'll try to finish it this month so that I can actually talk about it. But where we put it? We put it at C. It is early in the morning again. I'm trying to speak as detailed and interesting as possible. But this one here, this is the Dangers of My Heart. Dangers of the Heart. Bokuyaba, season 2. Bokuyaba, I've seen the first 6 episodes, so I'm halfway through. I'm thinking behind with like 3 episodes or something. It's very good. Bokuyaba is, the best thing about Bokuyaba is that it basically, every single episode, it goes through a big milestone in there. This is a middle school romance, by the way, so it's between this guy and this girl. She looks older, but she's just like tall, big girl, that's all. Makes for a cute dynamic. But it's a middle school romance. They act very much as kids, and what middle school kids would act like in these situations. But basically, the best thing about Bokuyaba is that every episode it goes through a big milestone in their relationship. So one episode is maybe the first time he comes over to her house, and the next episode is maybe the first time that they watch a movie at the movie theater together. The next episode is the first time that Anna, this girl here, admits that she has a crush on someone, and he realizes that it's him. And a lot of small stuff. The first time, that he cooks something with her. It's a lot of first times, and it manages to do it in a very natural way. It doesn't just feel like the author has a list of checkpoints that I have to make an episode about. But this is a very natural progression each and every time, and it doesn't overplay it either. But it makes each episode feel like a bit of an event. Like things are progressing all the time. Slow, sure, but things are happening. It's never stagnant. I think that makes it very powerful and very easy to get invested in. And they're all both very well-rounded characters. It's great. I think it's great. I don't think it's the best thing ever. I see some people praising it, when he has to make a speech in front of the school, and people were like, this is so raw, so human, so, well, maybe it wouldn't go that far, but I do think it's very good. And I think its structure in constantly progressing the relationship with these big, first times is the best thing about the series. Very good romance. Maybe the best middle school romance that I've seen. Tsugigakire is up there too, of course. Might be more inherently inclined with me as a person. We'll put that at B. What do I have after that? Detective Conan Crossroad in the Ancient Capital. This is the first digital movie that they made, because the Phantom of Baker Street here, that's the last cell animation movie that they made. And I think this one is the first one with the new modern designs. This was from 2002, 2003 something still, but it's also the last, because all the Detective Conan movies that I've seen so far, 8 maybe, they're all being directed by the same director. Excuse me. And I think this is the last movie that he's done, basically. I thought it was fun. It's basically just a team-up between Conan and Heiji, both high school detectives, high school detective of the north and the east, to the west, got the One Piece opening in my mind, but yeah, it's fun. It was fun. wouldn't say it's the best or even one of the better Detective Conan movies. And I felt like the deduction to figure out the mysteries kind of came out of nowhere. Like, as an audience member, I was sitting there, like, as I was watching it. It wasn't a movie at the theaters, but as I was watching it, I felt like, how was I supposed to figure that out? I didn't have that information. A lot of conclusions, deductions that they made with like very limited information, I just felt like speculation, like just making things up. Like, sure, that could be the case, but how would I know? Basically, just a bit of a poor mystery in this one, but it's fun. I like Kazuha because I like Tsunderes. But it's fun. One of the worst ones, but nothing shabby at all. I put it here actually, because I'm realizing now I wouldn't put it amongst that one. But I have after that. Yuga GX is also one of the shows this month that I just didn't manage to watch a lot of. Nothing to say really. They're still kind of dueling on the island. Nothing has really happened much. I still think it's all good, but I realized that a lot of I'm in season 3 now. They haven't gotten to the Dark World yet. We haven't seen Jubel yet, or Joanne hasn't been taken yet, so... but, I'll wait it out. But I like what I've seen. And I think season 3 is already the best season, because the general writing quality is higher. But I like it. I'll put it at C. What do I have after that? The Idolmaster Cinderella season 2. I did not like the first Idolmaster. I actually really liked the first Idolmaster, but I didn't like the first Cinderella Girl season. It felt like a very commercialized. There was very little soul in that one for me. This one does a bit better because it tries to do a kind of dramatic plot line, which I think it does reasonably well, but I didn't give a fuck. I don't care. I didn't care. I did not care. Mostly probably because the first season just never gave me a reason to care. So whatever were less overt issues with this one, because I focused on a conflict, a plotline that was fairly, perfectly fine. Yeah, I didn't like this one. I'm sorry. I'd put it at D. Yeah, didn't like that one. ARIA the NATURAL. Maybe one of the last shows here that I also just didn't watch a lot of. I'm gonna try to finish it this month, so I can watch Origination next month. But I like the Natural. I like what I've seen. It's just one of those shows that's kind of difficult for me to actually sit down and watch, because I have to be in the right mood space. I tend to watch it like when I'm getting ready for bed, so like I'm brushing my teeth or something, so I can watch it like not in the background, but I have it in front of me while I do stuff. Not that I'm bored, more so, but just that I tend to be too caught up in the day to really relax properly. But that's been a good routine for me, actually. And again, I'm not looking away or anything, or having in the background or missing stuff. Also, sometimes I just watch it during lunch. I mean, it's a mixture, but I found that most of the time I do watch it as the last thing I watch. But it's a very relaxing kind of series. If you don't know ARIA, it's known for being extremely relaxing. Just a kind of feel-good, comfy show, which it is. Nothing more to say about it. Again, I watched like one episode this month. Where we put it? We put it at C, probably. I like it, but, Apothecary Diaries. Apothecary Diaries has been really incredible this month, because it's basically ramping up all the stuff that we've been... Apothecary Diaries, through most of its run, has been episodic mysteries. A mystery here that she has to solve, a disease there that happened, or a attack there that happened. She's just apothecary, and she basically solves things that have to do with poisons, or sudden deaths, or illnesses, or stuff like that. But we've slowly been ranking up. Okay, we know her dad isn't her real biological dad, so who is her dad? And we know Yinshi. There's been several hints that, like, how does he know the Emperor so well? What is he doing there in the rear palace or the inner palace? Is he really an Inuk? Stuff like that. and we're getting answers now. Answers I didn't think we'd get, because I'm pretty sure the manga and the light novels are still ongoing, like much further than what the what the anime is at. So, but it feels like we're wrapping this up. I mean, we have basically all the answers right now. We still have a bit for Yinshi. I have my suspicions on what he is, who he is in related to the Emperor. But it's obviously much higher profile than than his official public position. But yeah, no, it's extremely good. I like the way we're ramping everything up. It'll be interesting to see if we'll probably get a second season, because the Apothecary Diaries have been extremely successful in Japan. The anime, the manga was already popular, but the anime has been very popular. So I guess we get second season, but I'm curious what would that be about, because I feel like the big stuff that the series has kind of hinged on, it's getting resolved right now. But yeah, I mean, we have this month left, so we still have the climax and stuff. But I think it's very good. I think it's the best it's ever been. I would put it at A. That's where I would put it. What next? Healer Girl. Oh, that was so long ago. This was the beginning of the month. Healer Girl. I'll say the first thing when I think about Healer Girl is the hair. Have you seen the hair? You see her, how they have dual hair colors. She has red hair, but like on the back side of her hair, it's green. There's the blonde, but there's purple. There's kind of gray, I guess, and then pink. I like the dual hair colors. I like them very much. One of my favorite things, actually. We don't see it enough. So that's the first thing I think of when I think of Healer Girl. Beyond that, it's a comfy show. It's comfy, it's cute. It's basically about these girls who... It's a bit of a musical, so... The central conceit of the show is that with the power of singing, if they sing right, they can basically heal people. So whenever there are people that are hurt or need help or need calming down for the ambulance to come... Ambulance? I think that's the... You can say that in English. Then they basically sing, to heal them. There are things in like the surgery where they're assisting the surgeons by singing, not just to maybe help heal the wound faster, but also to calm the surgeons down, keep them like at a clear mind, and it's cute, it's comfy. It's basically an idol show, because it's cute girls, and the songs that the girls sing are very much idol songs, that kind of genre. I think it's anything special. And I think you can tell when it tries to grapple with its first really serious romantic conflict, it comes across how amateurish it is, because it's basically about this one girl. Her maid is leaving because she wants to study somewhere else, but her maid is like, raised her like since she was young, so it's very sad. And then she decides to leave at the near end of the episode, and then we get the ending sequence, and then the maid immediately comes back, and she's like, oh, it turns out that they're moving the education here, so can I live with you again? It's like, oh yes, a tearful reunion. But maybe that would have worked better if you put the reunion at the end of the season, not 2 minutes later, kind of undoing everything you just did. But yeah, anyway, I'm not too mad about it or anything. I'm not mad about it at all, actually. I just sighed because I'm tired. But I was at a party last night. Kind of fancy. Hello? My mom called me. Anyway, I was at a party last night. Kind of fancy, high-class party. I know people. Anyway, did we move it? No, it's still there. Here we go. Where did we put it? I put it at C. I would put it at C. It was fun. But, very much... If we had to put these at, like, a kind of... instead of letters, we put it at, like, a number rating. Because that's what I rate most shows at. This would be, like, at a 7. C would be 7. Out of 10, B would be 8 out of 10. And A would be maybe a strong 8, like 9 kind of thing. And then S is basically 9 above. I mean, it's none of these are 10s, obviously, because I'm very stingy with my 10s, but this is basically the highest that the best a series tends to be. Like this is anything D can be 6 and below. So that's what it is. Anyway, Detective Conan captured in her eyes. I didn't like this one that much. I was kind of bored with it. I don't think I have any specific critiques. As a central mystery, wasn't that interesting? And they tried to do the whole romance with Shinichi and Ran, like they focused on a bit more overtly. But I didn't really find that worked here. And overall, it's just a worse movie. Like, just not one of the best ones. I don't remember enough to critique it exactly or anything, but I was a bit bored with it. I think when I tweeted about it, I basically just said, but this didn't hit as well. So, that's what it is sometimes. Ranking of Kings. Okay, here we have something interesting to actually talk about. Ranking of Kings, the first 3 episodes of Ranking of Kings is extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. It's we'll do this. I don't know where my little face is, so it doesn't block the view or anything. But Ranking Kings is its first episode is extremely emotionally powerful. Like, it actually got me a bit teary-eyed, which is very rare for a show to do in its first 3 episodes. Let alone the first, the very first is emotional too. It kind of loses that. I don't think it ever reaches that same emotional high ever again. But the entire first core continues to be very good and very strong and very charming, of course. The second core gets a bit more plot, a bit more action. It's obviously a payoff to stuff, but it just wasn't the focusing on what its best stuff was. There is a pretty big plot of bad with Miranjo and Bosse, which the basic issue with it is that it forgives these 2 people for being horribly bad, but it basically just completely forgive them and you can join us and we love you and blah blah blah, and it kind of completely ignores all the pain and hurt and suffering that they caused. So that's not necessarily that it should do some punitive justice thing. It's we'll punish you for doing this, but a bit more tact, a bit more, sense to you. Like, you can't just forgive anyone for no reason completely. The issue is also the Miranji's backstory to explain why she did all these terrible things. She basically caused our protagonist's disabilities even. But Miranjo basically, we lived for a while in a kind of impoverished, marginalized town where all of the people who were really, really horrible people and would murder and steal and rape and yada yada. Basically, she was torture porn, basically. And then that's supposed to explain. The bad thing with that is twofold, I guess. The first reason why it's bad is just because it's not interesting. An entire town was just evil because they were impoverished? I mean, what kind of sociological analysis is that? We don't try to explain. I mean, there were even hints that they've been exploited by other countries. Okay, but what's the solution to that? Is it many monarchies aren't actually that good, so kingdoms shouldn't just amass capital from its people? But of course, this is Ranking of Kings. It's not anti-monarchy. But we didn't get into any such sociological analysis. Nothing we should help these people. Or it tried to kind of spin we tried to help these people by living with them, but they were just completely animals, unable to, it's a very black and white kind of, this whole town of people bad. So I couldn't really buy into that. And then there were some accusations when I did, and I looked it up, of anti-Korean sentiments to it. Basically, there were comparisons made between this town and their kingdom trying to help it, and the colonization of Korea by Japan. And I can see it, and when I look at pictures from the houses, famous pictures from the real life event, and then the houses in Ranking of Kings and the town and stuff, I see similarities. It's not something that I think is too overt, and I don't think the series veers into the whole try to help them by colonizing them or anything. I don't think it even presented as colonizing. It was just basic. it was just a temporary like team up towards a larger threat, the gods that they fought. That was kind of it. So I didn't really get that strong sentiment. But I've heard the manga is a bit more explicit. And I won't say that it's wrong or inaccurate to make that analysis. Just not something that really stood out to me when I watched it, personally. Maybe it's because I don't have in mind what the houses looked like during that time. But also I just don't think the series focused on it that much. Like, the colonization is like a thing. So my main issue is just that I think it's cartoonish to just paint the whole town of people bad, and that's supposed to explain your main villain, and you know, and allow her to be forgiven completely and you know, unconditionally. Otherwise, it's good. That's basically the one big bad, and it's a plot line. It's pretty central, but it doesn't negate or erase all the good stuff. The question is, where do we put it? I think I like it a bit more than these other ones, so put it at B. What do we have next? Certain Magical Index. The Certain Magical Index is almost good. It's very typical light novel anime-ish, but I think it's a bit interesting. It's very trippy, actually. One arc, like, all the people in the world have switched appearances. Another arc, this one girl finds out she's literally not real, she's like simulated. It gets very weird and trippy and kind of existential with stuff. It doesn't really have a central kind of driving force, so I don't know what we're building up to. Not that I necessarily don't think you have to, but I think maybe it would help, because I feel like we're just watching it and some arcs are better than others, and it kind of feels like a bit haphazard just jumping between idea and idea. And again, not that that style can't work, but I just feel like there's not much, it's something real, something substance to really drive it along. So just basically managed to almost good, but it's a kind of decent fun. I think it's probably one of the better light novel stuff that I like, if we take it by average, because it's actually solid character stuff to like back everything up. I had fun. Where would we put it? C. 4 shows left. Okay, Undead Unluck. It's good. Yeah, it's gotten even more interesting now, because they kind of introduced this mangaka who's like, it turns out that the entire manga is a very specific allusion to world history, and then they kind of figure out that this girl, the manga, is predicting the future. So they're trying to contact this girl, or guy. I mean, it's a girl, but it was supposed to be secret, but not a big deal. But anyway, they try to contact this girl and try to find her to basically, can you help us predict the future, what we should do to defeat our enemy. I talked about Undead Unluck before, but it has these very big weird ideas, like, oh, for every time we lose, a punishment happens with like the laws of physics, so the rules of the world change. And here it's like, oh, this girl can predict the future, and has predicted the future with this very popular manga. It gets very big and weird and existential, and I like that, and I like to be veering into that more. And to meet this girl, they make a manga of their own, and of course they make a manga called Undead Unluck. It's very funny, very, very fun. We'll put it C. I think it's fun. Next one is Doctor Who. We can look this up, because I wrote about it. Who Series 11 suffers a lot. Is the most generic the series has ever been. It underutilizes the companions, the underlying conservatism in the storytelling and politics, the Doctor's passivity and apathy, and its over-reliance on techno jargon exposition. It sucks. So we can take this point by point. It's the most generic the series has ever been. It's just basic, standard. None of it is interesting. I made an interesting comparison because I'm rewatching Series 1 now with my dad, who hasn't seen Series 1. And Series 11, like an episode there where maybe it's a proper monster. It's like big spiders. That's the monster, right? And then the very first episode of the modern show, like the 2005 show, the very first in Series 11, the monsters is alive store dolls. Like, store like dolls for like they dress them up in like a store window. What's it called? Doctor Who Autumn's. Here they are, right? Store dolls. Basically, those are the first. They appeared in the old show, of course, too. But basically, these are the first, and they start coming alive, and they walk around and they like kill people. That's a very creative idea. It's fun because one of the most boring things about the series 11, which is the first female Doctor and Chris Chibnall's first season, is it's just boring. It's not weird anymore. It's not zany. It's not. It's supposed to be goofy and weird, but instead we get big spiders. But we could get living store people, store dolls. So it was fun to see in series 1 that we're back to the weird Doctor Who, and I think it reflects in series 11 the basic. How should I say this? Series 11 looks very good in that it looks like a modern science fiction show. Like Doctor Who's been known for looking kind of goofy. The effects aren't that up to date or anything. I mean, it looks fine. It won't take you out of it too much, but Series 11 looks very standard. It looks very high quality, but it also makes it look like any other like sci-fi show. There's nothing uniquely Doctor Who about it aesthetically. Like we go to like ARIA planet, and it's just a desert planet. Nothing that screams, "Oh, this is a Doctor Who planet," or like a place from Doctor Who, like a setting that's Doctor Who-ish. It's just a desert planet. Could be from any sci-fi show. So I think that was the genericness reflects the genericness reflects in the visuals, basically. It underutilizes the companions. That's basically just the companions here. That's Ryan, that's Jazz, that's Graham. They're just underdeveloped. Ryan has a bit with his he has difficulties with his motoric. That's not what it's called. When people like have difficulties like moving and coordinating the limbs, and like they have difficulties riding a bike, for example, or they have difficulties doing a lot of stuff with like their hands and fingers and stuff. He has that, but the series basically only remembers it when it's relevant to like make a little like he in like the second episode he runs around and he shoots robots with incredible accuracy while they're shooting at him, because the robots never hit anyone. They suck. But so that's basically like, oh, but you kind of forgot there that he has these issues, right, with dyspraxia or something. I don't remember what it was called. And then he has this deal with his dad leaving him, which only ever pops up when it's relevant. And they have to like stop the plot, and they have to stand and talk about it. It's very poorly, not integrated at all. Jazz has nothing going on. She's a police officer, but again, the series never remembers it. Yeah, there's nothing to it there. Graham is the most developed one. He lost his wife. That's pretty constantly looming, and he tries to connect with his grandson, Brian, who's adopted, obviously. So he's the most developed one, and he's also the best actor there out of the companions. So good for Graham, I guess. But yeah, underutilizes the companions. Nothing interesting about him. Nothing developing much. The underlying conservatism in the storytelling of politics. That's basically that the Doctor has always had more anarchist tendencies. It's fun to go from Series 10 to Series 11. Series 10 is the last season of Peter Capaldi's Doctor. Peter Capaldi's Doctor is maybe the ideal Doctor, like the platonic ideal of the Doctor to me. He is, especially in Series 10, because that's basically where his journey is complete. Because it starts in Series 8, and he's working up to becoming the Doctor. Like, he has issues, this whole arc of am I a good man? Series 10 is basically, yes, I am a good man, and I'm working, I've worked for this, and so he is the most Doctor-like that he's ever been in Series 10, which is the season just before this one. And there's a lot of, he has very anarchist tendencies. He in Oxygen, which is an episode, he fights against late stage capitalism. In another episode, Finn Ice, he goes back to the past with he has a companion who's black and lesbian, and she he basically says, I know that people are racist to you now, but you have to like keep that calm, because we're in another era. Don't make more trouble. Don't let them get the better of you, which is obviously for him speaking from a place of privilege because he's white. And then 5 minutes later, he punches the racist in the face. He's vegan. He just dropped a random line like, that burger had a mommy and daddy. His whole ideal is that he does what he does because it's right and it's kind. It's a decent thing to do, and he does it without hope, without witness, without reward. He just does it because it is the right thing to do to help people. It is good. So he has these anarchist tendencies where he does fight against, and the Doctors had this all the time. Even in Series 1, the Doctor can go around and crumble empires or dictatorships, and the show never criticizes him for doing these kind of revolutionary things. It only really criticizes him for leaving without helping the people, build up, rebuild, help them more. Series 11 is basically the Doctor's now a policewoman. Basically, she's not doing the things that she does anymore because it's the right thing to do and to help everyone, but she said it herself, she's sorting out fair play in the universe, which means that she's more of a witness. She basically just she makes sure everything that happened in the past in history has to happen again. She makes sure that nothing is changed, which makes her very much a protector of status quo, which means that, for example, in episodes where they go back to Rosa Parks, and for some reason the show is convinced that if Rosa Parks doesn't sit down on this particular bus at this particular time, the entire social justice anti-racism movement will just not happen, when obviously this wasn't a coincidence. If Rosa Parks just didn't sit down on that bus, she'd do it any other time. This was a planned thing. I mean, she was in cahoots with Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, this was... Anyway, it's stupid, but the point there is basically that Graham, this guy, doesn't want to... he wants to help Rosa Parks, but the Doctor basically says, no, you have to sit down and, leave her alone and let her do this so history can unfold as it does. Which basically means that the Doctor doesn't help Rosa anymore, more than she has to. She doesn't try to fight against this institutionalized racism in any way. She just lets things unfold as it did before, which means that she makes herself and the companions complicit in systemic racism. There's another thing where she doesn't really do anything against... There are a lot of things where she lets people die, and so that's where we talk about... that comes later, I guess. That's the Doctor's passivity and apathy. She doesn't really... She's a policewoman. She's a supporter of the status quo. She makes sure that things just happen the way they should be, so she's a witness to them, but she doesn't actually do much. Which is why in the big, not Christmas special, because she will change that to New Year special, but that's where she properly meets a Dalek, and a Dalek is the Doctor's worst enemy, basically. And she does defeat the Dalek, but that's the first time that she's ever really defeated an enemy, because until then, it's basically just that she's been a witness to make sure that things go the way they go. I think it's disappointing for the first Doctor to be so conservative, to be so... Oh, not the first Doctor, but the first female Doctor to be so passive. And I think it's disappointing that this ancient being who time traveled through space can't imagine a new world than just what is. There's also this episode Curbman, which is basically Space Amazon, and they get a distress call, and they go in there, and they find out that basically it's Space Amazon being the system, the AI system, being attacked by this rogue janitor. But it consistently show the Space Amazon to be horrible towards its workers. But still, they take the side of Space Amazon. And oh, you were the one in danger. And then basically they shut down the Space Amazon for a bit to regroup and try to do better. By they, I mean the people who run Space Amazon. And they say basically, I will shut down the company for a month, and will pay the workers 2 weeks paid leave. you only pay them half the time that they're away. That's very weird. That's also a sentence you didn't need to put in the script, because it doesn't present it as like a bad thing. It just presents it, okay, this is good progress. You're doing good now. I think it's so weird to make an episode about Space Amazon and then you don't criticize Space Amazon. You are in solidarity with Space Amazon. You criticize the bad workers. The over-reliance of techno-jargon exposition, that's just Tribunal. He has a tendency to write a lot of techno-jargon, just a lot of sci-fi babble that doesn't really mean anything, which means that a lot of the scripts are just packed with random, boring exposition, which doesn't do anything. Buffett and Davis were both very good at limiting their exposition, because they realized the character and theme was actually important. But Shiver is very much exposition. It's bad. Anyway, I'm rewatching Series 1 now, which is a Davis season, so that's good. Oh, we'll put it there. Okay, A Sign of Affection. A Sign of Affection is like... It's getting better. I think Itsuomi is he's for this girl, obviously, and he's very respecting towards her. There's still a bit, he's still a bit touchy, obviously, and I still think even when, like, the first kiss, it involves with her misinterpreting his sign language. She thought he meant hug, he meant kiss, and she just said, okay, yeah, you can do that, and okay, I can kiss you. It's just a goofy little thing, not a big deal for them both, and she liked the kiss, but it's kind of like, even when it's not his fault, he still breaches her boundaries. But now it's her fault. The show still goes out of its way to get men into her personal space and to kind of control her. And obviously, it's getting better, less and less with time, but it's still kind of there. And even if we disregard it, what is the rest of the show? It's just a fluffy romance. No wrong can ever go wrong. Nothing can ever go wrong with these two people. It's just boring to me. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm sorry. So, and again, I still think the mom sucks for not learning sign language when her daughter is deaf. Bang Dream. We're gonna look this up. Bang Dream. This is Bang Dream, the second season. That's the last one we have too. Good, because I'm sweating and I need to take a shower. Bang Dream second season. There we go. Why did you open it on analyst here? Why did you open it? Because we're gonna look at the characters. Bang Dream second season. I think I like it a bit less than the first season, actually. And a prime reason for that is that I think this one feels a bit too commercialized. So here's the thing. After the first season of Bang Dream, there was a mobile game released. Gacha game? I don't know what a gacha game is, actually, but I'm guessing that's what this is. And they introduced more girls there, more bands focused on them. And for me, who didn't play the game, it's like, who are you people? Where did you come from? Am I supposed to, like, know that you're part of the established cast now? So I think they kind of assume, you played the game at this point, right? I haven't, but, which means that it is a bit messy, the first half, because it kind of, every band gets one episode and it doesn't really connect to the larger plot whatsoever. And I think a lot of the season is focused on this girl, Roka here, Roka Sashi. But then she doesn't really do anything. She has this whole deal with she wants to become part of a band, which it was building up that she would join Rue Salian, another band. But it just didn't happen. I'm assuming it would happen in the first season, but then I felt like we spent so much time on her building her up and taking time away from other people to focus on her, and then just nothing ever happened with her. We do get episodes with the different bands, which is actually the best part of the season. It is messy, it is structurally, it's not that good, but it's very fun. The best two here, I think, Hello Happy World are surprisingly, I really love them, actually. We're gonna get one episode with them, of course. The girl here is, we have Kokoro Tsurumaki here. Oh, we need to poo, but we'll get through this. And then here, Misugi Okusawa. So these are like the main dynamic in this band. So Kokoro is the happy-go-lucky, larger than life, always smiling, always laughing, always happy. This is Mitsuki Okusawa, who has a beard costume on, by the way, during the performances. None of the other band members seem to know that it's her inside, but you know. Anyway, she's the more kind of sarcastic, you know, more gloomy. Not gloomy. She's maybe too happy for that. Or not too happy, but she's too extroverted for that. She's not, but she's a bit grumpy, a bit sassy, you know. They're basically gay for each other, and it's a lovely dynamic. And in their episode, Kasumi, the main girl of our band, Poppin' Party, she basically says, "Oh, I think it would be fun if during our performance we would fly across the stage." And then Kokoro overhears that. She jumps down from a building, and then she does hula hoops to them. And then she says, "Oh, that would be fun." And then they're like, "Yeah, but I don't know how we can do that. You know, it's unrealistic. We don't have the money. We also, you know, we're gonna like suspend ourselves in the air." And then she says, "Oh, but I'll try it, and we'll see if we can do something." Then she says, "You know, you can come to my house this weekend." And then, okay, they go to her house. It's a mansion. And then they go to her boat, like huge ferry. And then they go out into the ocean, and then they wonder. They distract them with this big like performance with another girl of their band, who's Hikaru Seta. And then suddenly Kokoro jumps from an airplane without a parachute, and she like falls through the sky. And then they throw Miski Okasawa after her in her bear suit. And Kokoro basically, you know, she said, "I can't save you, Kokoro. You know, I don't have a parachute either. You don't have a parachute. I'm supposed to grab you in the air." And then Kokoro just says, "You know, I trust you. You can do this, you know." So Kokoro is a lovely dynamic where like the go happy girl, you know, kind of motivates the gloomy one to come out of a shell and do the things that she knows she has the abilities to do. Obviously her bear suit then has rocket powered like feet, so she could just fly and get Kokoro. And then they land at the boat. It's incredibly weird, like episode. They jump from an airplane, but I think it's lovely. Kokoro, of course, is just has his habit where she has this whiteboard where she writes down ideas, but instead of writing down the ideas, she draws them, and really crappy pictures. So, you know, someone would say, "Oh, you know, we should write down chocolate corners. We should bring that to the concert." And then she says, "Oh, I already had that down." And it's this vague triangle shape. Like how is anyone supposed to know? I also really like pastel palettes. I think pastel palettes, it's this girl here. They fare. Let's see if I can open the. Here we have them. It's Aya Mariyama and Shizuto Shizurasage, who are the main girls, kind of. I think they fare the best drama-wise. I get to the critique a bit later with the main girls, but Aya and Shizuto has the most developed dynamic in the series, or in the season at least. And it's the most interesting and newest interpersonal dynamic, and it continues like throughout the season. I was surprised because I figured this is not all of these bands are idol bands. Most of them are just regular school bands. You know, maybe they do rock, maybe they do something else. But these are specifically a professional idol band, and they do idol songs, idol music. And I thought they would be very happy-go-lucky, which I thought, you know, this Kokoro girl and her band already did that. But no, Aya is a lot more. She's a bit shy. She's a bit vulnerable. She's a lot more endearing than I thought she would be, because she's so pink. I just figured she'd scream, you know, idol. But she's quite lovely. I don't know how I should explain it with that. But I think the drama fit it best. This gets into the critique of the season, I guess. Roselia basically doesn't get much to do. I mean, they're fun for, you know, what they are. Afterglow has one episode, and it really doesn't. I was hoping for more from them, because I think the girls that are really fun. But they really didn't do anything. And then here, that's Poppin' Party, that's the main band. So I think one of the issue with the dramatic storyline in this season is that it feels like the girls have been smoothed down. They're more boring. They don't have as many unique interactions with each other. The basic plotline of the second half of the season, which is the main storyline throughout the season, is Tai. Here she is. So she supports them for a concert. And then the producer there wants her to join them and quit the Poppin' Party. And then there's the whole storyline of, will she quit Poppin' Party, will she not? But it's obvious, of course she won't. and she doesn't. And then, like, the big climax of the season is basically, I love popping party, I love playing with you girls. And it's like, yeah, we know. I mean, this isn't... We all know she would never leave. There was never conflict in the first season that maybe she didn't like them that much or anything. And it makes for weird dramatic beats where, like, Kasumi says, we all like you, Tai. And she says, you do? You do like me? Yes, obviously. What was this? It was never... They basically invent fake emotional beats just for the sake of emotional beats, but it doesn't make sense with the characters. So yeah, the dramatic conflict did not fare well for me. And the issue with that is that the other girls don't really get any sort of... I can't think of anything that Rimi or Arisa or Saya really did this season, like as like individual stuff. In the first season, which is basically just focused on them, none of the other bands, they all get storylines, they all get stuff to do, specific dynamics with the other characters. Here, they don't. And when they do important stuff, it's all in unison with the others. So it's just vaguely reacting with the group. So that's why I feel like it's been smoothed down to a general group dynamic, but we've lost the uniqueness, the interpersonal stuff. Which made the overall season feel a bit more soulless, a bit more commercialized, and a bit more, this is just an accessory to the game. I will play the game at some point. Probably after I finish the anime. So that's why I feel that. I hope this is just an issue with season 2, and then season 3 would be good. I mean, I still liked it. It's very charming, actually. And again, the first half of the season I actually really enjoyed. I admit it's messy. I admit structurally it's not the best, but I had a lot of fun. So wherever we put it... I'm sorry, but we have to put it at C. But that's it. These are the shows. We could go through them just quickly. Sign of Affection, Doctor Who Series 11, Idolmaster second season. No, we're not going to do that. I already got bored. But as I said, plan for next month will be plan a bit better what I'm going to watch each day. So I actually managed to get through them all. More One Piece, more Frieren, more Dungeon Meshi, more Bucchigiri, and finish Bind Dream a bit better, and Katanagatari, have some stuff there, and I also had new shows, of course. But yeah, I guess that's it. Hope you had fun, and if not, fuck off. No. But yeah, hope you have fun. We'll see you in the next month.